Lise, we're all set to go? Okay, great. Well, welcome everyone to the second installment in our webinar series. Last week we talked about e-commerce. This week we are talking about NCG and INFRA. This is a channel. These are accounts that are really near and dear to our hearts. We have at Kate LaBrosse Consulting intimate experience with these accounts, and they're really the heart of the natural channel. So we're excited to talk to you more about them today. So in my mind, there's no more perfect team to talk to you about these accounts than this team right here. On our team, and who's going to be presenting to you today, we have Sunshine Squires, who was a category manager for NCG for the last 7+ years. We have Lisa Schultz, who started out at Valley Natural Foods Co-op in Burnsville, Minnesota, worked with me at Presence on NCG key account paperwork and with the brands that Presence represented there. We have Erin Courteau, who has been calling on these stores, both at the street level and at the key account level for 25 years. We have Leah Michelson, who does not have NCG INFRA experience, but she is our social media guru. And so we have her on to support with that. And myself, I was also an NCG category manager and have been calling on NCG and INFRA in various roles as in my manufacturer director sales roles and at Presence Marketing. So before I kind of jump into the meat of the presentation, I want to just tee up for you guys how we're going to talk about things today. We're going to start out with sort of a who is NCG and an overview of their programs. And then Erin's going to take it from there and talk about INFRA and their programs. And then we're going to pass it back to Sunshine. And she is going to talk to you about really how to be successful at these accounts, what steps you need to take, what your communication should look like, what your plan should look like. And to me, you guys, this is really the gold of the presentation. And so when we get to this portion, make sure that you are taking notes. And for those of you that are tech savvy, like feel free to take screenshots. There's no one that I have seen deliver information like this, and it's really actionable. So good things to come. So just to start out with, like what makes independents like NCG and INFRA different? Because they are different. They operate on a different model than any other account in the US. So these guys are made up of brick and mortar. That means at store, at street level, full service natural grocery stores across the US. They report to SPINS, and SPINS is the reporting agency in the natural channel. They're part of the Natural Enhanced Channel Data Group. This group of data accounts makes up more than 1,850 full format stores that individually each have more than $2 million in annual sales, and 40% or more of their total sales through UPC coded product has to be natural, organic, or specialty. They are often referred to as virtual chains. And what that means is that they operate in some ways as a key account, as a headquarter call, and they also have an independent store level perspective that you need to understand. And assortment and pricing is all handled independently by the stores themselves. And the two headquarter organizations help to bring together these stores for buying power in the industry and for promotional things and their sort of back end services. So they do a great job of bringing all these stores together. Both of them, I will say too, because we are local here, both organizations are headquartered here in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, as are we. So National Co-op Grocers, or NCG, they are made up of 146 food co-ops operating 200+ storefronts across 37 states across the country. Collectively, they have over 1.3 million member owners. This is what makes NCG different than INFRA, which Erin will talk about in a little bit. But the co-ops are owned by their communities, by their members, and they have over 1.3 million member owners. Annual sales of over $2.1 billion. That makes them the second largest chain reporting to SPINS. This means that when you're trying to grow your SPINS numbers, NCG is a key component of that. All of the stores are co-ops. That means they're operated by their community, by their members. The assortment are characterized as ultra natural. As I said in the beginning, these guys are the heart of natural, and 39% of all products are actually certified organic, and 21% of what the co-op sell are local. They are the second largest customer of UNFI. So it's important as you think about NCG to think about how you're going to supply to them, and UNFI may be a key component of that. And then we've just listed out several what we're calling standout stores that do a great job of executing on NCG programs and merchandising and general assortment. Okay, so then to talk a little bit more specifically about their programs, I'm going to have Sunshine talk to you a little bit about the category review process at NCG.
Thanks, Kate. So NCG follows a published review calendar. In this calendar that is posted at their portal, Partner Connection, categories are denoted as either being new item reviews, what was formerly the new item program, or they are full reviews. The full reviews are a recent program development for NCG and include consideration for mature items currently missing from store sets, new item launches, EDLP pricing support strategies, and full reset support at retail. As UNFI's second largest customer, NCG is actually able to activate new items in all 15 UNFI DCs that their stores pull from. These warehouses, though, have varying scale of NCG volume. And so we'll talk later about how it's really important to cultivate additional sales from these warehouses once they've been activated. Just a second. Okay, so what's required of a vendor? In addition to program fees, brands are required to free-fill stores and submit a robust promotional plan to support the new placement. The distributor will also be looking for an OI discount support and participation in their advertising programs. Finally, you'll want to include the cost of IX1 imaging in your estimated launch investment. Folks that visit NCG's portal at Partner Connection will note that there are fewer categories reviewed in 2020 this year, and this is just due to the launch of the new full review program. We should expect to see this grow over the next couple of years. While review calendars bring much needed order to product submission chaos, NCG co-ops pride themselves on being first adopters of new trends and new products. And so you may want to consider submitting for an off-cycle launch if the category manager believes that this is the right product at the right time. I really promote fiscal responsibility with our clients, and I urge them to address places in their processes that are unnecessarily leaking precious resources. If you plan to utilize one of these retailer programs, you need to effectively communicate this to sales teams in the field. If they're under a blanket directive to just sell it wherever you can, you're going to inevitably end up double free-filling stores. That being said, I'm not at all adverse to strategic investment spending. You should expect to be a bit in the red on advertising spend the first year, as the ROI in advertising typically increases gradually as you build product placement and program participation.
Great. So the heart of NCG's programs is their flyer program and their general promotional program. So all NCG co-ops utilize their co-op deals flyer. This is something that is published 2 times a month. It has a print circulation of over 700,000, and promotions can be submitted to your category manager either on a regional basis, and NCG separates that out west, central, and east, or national. Only items available either direct from the vendor or through UNFI are able to go through the promotional program at this time. That means if you have another distributor that you're utilizing or you don't ship direct, those their programs might not be an option for you. Stores receive sale tags on all of the co-op deals flyer items. And if a store carries an item on promotion, then it must be offered at the price that the category manager sets. What this doesn't guarantee you is a store to bring in your item if you put it on promotion. The stores, as I said earlier, still manage their assortment, and even items that go through their promotional program are not required to be carried in store. There's a few additional things for you to consider there. And the one thing that I would really point out to you, and this is going to, I think, feed into your overall promotional strategy, but NCG works 5 months out of the promo schedule. So when you submit, it's actually not going to be on promotion for about a 5-month lag time. So it's great for you to have an overall promotional strategy that you get to execute on and make sure that you have that identified for the full year. So a bit more about their deals flyer. They have several different levels at which you can get placement in their flyer. The entry level, or the sort of the cheapest level, is their 1X and 2X item. They also have a 4X, and then they have the 6X. And that is, if you can see that, that's that image of the Siete products up there. So there's just different tiers to that. Items featured in the flyer should be in most stores. What NCG is looking for is about a 50% ACV. If you don't know what ACV is, that's okay. It's really just a term that the industry uses, spins in particular, to determine the weighted distribution of your products. So that's what NCG is looking for when they're determining what's going to go in their flyer. And then some additional programs that they have are their off-shelf. This is a limited program because stores only have so much off-shelf space. So NCG is very particular about the items and the brands that they put through this program. It has to run in conjunction with a flyer promotion. So you're going to have 2 fees for that. And they're looking for a higher discount on these items. Their standard discount rate is going to be at least 20%. Off shelf, they're going to be looking for at least 30%. And they're also looking for a higher ACV here. So just know that they're looking for at least a 60% ACV on the off-shelf program. Feature shelf is kind of a step down from the flyer program. And what this means is you get all the benefits that you got with the flyer program. You get the guaranteed pricing, the guaranteed 2-week promo time, the guaranteed shelf tags. What you don't get is something in the flyer. And they also have a lower ACV threshold here. And then TPRs are something that NCG uses for sometimes emerging brands, or it's a good strategy for brands that have a more robust promotional plan to maybe add in a TPR here or there. What you need to know about that is that there's really no guaranteed execution around a TPR. What NCG has in agreement with their members is that at some point during that month, because they have to run for a full month at discount, the stores will put your item on promotion if they carry it, but the stores get to set the duration, they get to set the discount, and they also get to decide whether or not they're going to make that a member only deal. And then the last option here is their coupon program. This is also a really solid program for NCG, and I can tell you that we had some vendors really in love with this program with solid execution here. These run for 2 months each. So when you participate in a coupon program, that coupon is going to be up for 2 months, and NCG prints out the coupon tear pads, and they all get delivered to stores, and most stores will kind of put those right on the shelves next to the product. So some things that are here. The depth of discount can be adjusted at the item level to target impactful price points. What this means is that you should know what price point your products move best on based off of what your general pricing strategy is and your margin levels, and know what price point you want to target and communicate that to your category manager when you're submitting your promotions. And the other thing to think about is what kind of discount structure you're using. NCG offers the opportunity to use rebates when you're submitting promotions, and these are calculated against the retailer's cost and volume that's purchased through UNFI or direct during that specific buy-in period. This is of benefit to you because it's a cost savings. MCBs are the highest, the highest way, the least cost effective to you when running promotions with any retailer. MCVs are charged off of the distributor wholesale versus your wholesale of what you're selling to distributors or retailers for. So rebates are a great way to get some cost savings here, and it's only being given to products that run through that distributor for that specific time. You want to avoid using a submission of TPRs during months that are high promo months for the categories that you play in, because your competition and the brands that are leader brands that have much more placement than you are also going to be running promotions at that time. So you're going to be up against more competition, and more likely you're going to have the retailer tell you no. A couple additional things for them are their holiday pre-order program. They have a both spring and a fall and winter option for this. They will order products either direct or UNFI. They have to be seasonal and specific to this particular holiday program, and they have to have a limited run. These cannot be items that you have every day. The great thing with this is that you actually get a commitment. NCG works to get you that ahead of time, and the stores have to commit to what they're ordering as part of this program. So you get to execute against a confirmed number of placements and distribution points. And the other option that they have is their trade show called Convergence. This happens once a year. It's usually in the summer, and it's here in St. Paul. Obviously, that has been affected by COVID. We're all hoping that this goes back to an in-person event next year. It's a great opportunity, and NCG does an amazing job of getting members, employees from each of the co-ops across the country to attend this. And it's a full week event where there's a ton of other opportunities, education things for these guys, and the tabletop happens on one of those days. Okay, so now we're going to hand it over to Aaron Courteau, and he's going to talk to you sort of for a 101.
Thank you, Kate. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us here, and I'm excited to talk to you about INFRA. INFRA stands for the Independent Natural Foods Retailers Association, and INFRA is similar and different from NCG. Interestingly, most people don't realize this, but both organizations are actually co-ops. The difference, as Kate mentioned, NCG is made up of stores that are co-op stores. INFRA is a co-op that is made up of independently owned natural food stores. They have the distinction of having over 260 independent retailer members at this time. And even in COVID stress 2020, they actually added another 46 stores this year. So that's pretty tremendous, especially when you consider that their annual combined sales is over $1.8 billion, and more than 50% of their stores have sales that exceed $10 million a year. They are a very healthy organization whose business owners are people who are absolute committed pioneers in this industry. When talking to and submitting to INFRA, keep in mind they've got a number of standards that are very important to them. One of which for them being non-GMO, but followed very closely by organic and sustainability. And then further down the line, many of the other things that we're used to hearing as far as requirements in natural food stores. They too have some standouts that we like to call out. New Frontier Natural Marketplace, New Earth Market, and Kimberton Whole Foods, just three of the amazing stores that make up the INFRA organization.
Great.
So INFRA has, like NCG, a number of different programs, and I'm going to run through these very quickly. So as Kate said, I encourage you, if you have the ability to do screenshots, to do so, because Sunshine is going to be delivering, as Kate said, some really important information that makes all of the rest of this even more potent for you. First in INFRA's bag of tricks is their new placement offers, their MPO program. This is a program that if you are a new line, if you are a new product from a high performing brand already in INFRA stores, or if you're an existing line that you have a product in there, up until now, maybe your placement has been a little bit on the lower side, but it's showing great growth in the stores that you're in. These are all items that theoretically will qualify as new product offerings with INFRA. In order to submit for a new MPO submission, you have to be slotted in distributors. INFRA at this point in time does not have the ability to force distribution into their distributors on products. The stores also, it's an optional program for them, but the stores that do opt in are expected to keep that new product on their shelves for a minimum of 6 months. And your obligation is to give them a free fill for grocery items and a BOGO or 50% discount deal on anything that is an HBC item. As a thank you, INFRA offers to you a free TPR 3 months after the MPO is launched. Excitingly, and we wish we had some more information to tell you on this, but INFRA is going to be launching soon a new incubation program that is going to start in their Southeast region. It's going to focus on center store dry products. at this time, and it will also require you to be in KHE. But we're excited to get more information from INFRA in the very near future to share with you about this new program. So like NCG, INFRA also has a flyer program, and this is a great way to get your product in the face of people before they actually get your product in their hands. The things to consider, key things to consider when submitting for the flyer program is that if your promotions are off invoice with the distributor, you are required to add an additional MCB discount to sweeten the deal. The reason for this is that INFRA wants to make sure that whatever they're advertising in their flyer is hopefully a slightly better deal than what a consumer could get at the store down the street using the same distributor. Yes, thank you. They have a number of different ad programs. There's a product ads, there's large front page ads, and there are family ads. Basically, the differences between these mostly account to your ACV, as Kate referred to earlier. There are minimums anywhere between 70 and 80% to do so. The fun thing about the family ad program is that if you're a vendor that happens to play in multiple different categories, you have the opportunity to feature in that ad an image of potentially all the different departments that you play in and the prices that would be associated with those sales. It's extra bang for buck in your advertising program. Promotional programs. There are complimentary TPRs, paid TPRs, and everyday low prices. INFRA, as I mentioned earlier, if you participate in their national promotional flyer program with multiple deals, INFRA says thank you by offering you a complimentary TPR. Again, you're just getting more bang for your buck. It doesn't have quite the same visual impact as the flyer ad will, but it's one more reason, one more opportunity to be in the face of the consumers when they're making their buying decisions. Again, there are the paid TPRs. This is for vendors who don't necessarily or not quite qualify for those national programs, and it gives you the opportunity to again be in the face without spending quite as much money. And last but not least, they have an everyday low price program. This program, key to it is that it does get set up and implemented through KHE. The EDLP is well run for a minimum of 6 months. The price ceilings are not set, and the cost of this program is sent back to you as a bill back, an MCB. Additional programs. This is one of my favorites with INFRA. They have this program called ART, the Academy of Retail Training. This is fabulous, especially for new brands, especially for products that are breaking new ground. Basically, what happens with this program is you get to design a virtual education program that theoretically gets in the hands of every single INFRA employee across the INFRA network of stores. In a nutshell, this makes every one of those employees an expert on your brand. You provide a program, you provide education, training about your brand, and then that way, a customer standing in the aisle and they're asking about brand A, B, and C, and that employee, if they've had your training, can intelligently talk to that consumer about your product, giving you a competitive advantage in the aisle. The keys to this program is there is a small fee to it. The slots available every month are limited, so you should apply often. Just because you don't get in 1 month doesn't mean you won't get in the next. But the feedback that we have had, both from vendors and retailers alike, is that this is an incredibly successful program. Some additional programs and events that come through INFRA. The biggest one, obviously, is that INFRA has their annual conference like NCG has theirs. This year, COVID related, it was pivoted to a virtual show this past August. We are hoping, and I know INFRA is too, that next year brings the ability to have a live event. It is a trade show. It is an opportunity for you, if selected, to have a booth and show your wares and talk to a very large number of the INFRA staff from stores all across the country, who also attend classes and seminars about the industry as a whole and trends that are happening. They provide purchasing program newsletters to their members that talk about all the new things happening at INFRA and how the programs that you are putting in place affect what's working at INFRA. And also the business to consumer campaigns. Basically, INFRA will take the information you give them, coupons, toolkits, digital imaging, everything to help you make your brand more successful with their member stores.
Great. Thank you, Aaron. So you guys, if you have been sort of multitasking through this or like kind of half asleep, wake up, pay attention. Like I said in the beginning, this is the gold of this presentation. So we're going to pass it over back to Sunshine, and she's going to walk you through really kind of the do's and don'ts and how to really be successful here. So this is like insider information from this team who knows these accounts really intimately. Like, take notes.
No pressure, Kate. No pressure. All right,
no pressure. There is no pressure. Yeah, you got this, girl.
I got my glasses on. I can see my notes now. So let's dig in. So, there are a number of reasons why we want to see you prioritize working with NCG and INFRA. I mean, obviously, they represent over 600 retail locations. For a point of reference, that's bigger than Whole Foods. They represent over $4 billion in sales. They represent, in my opinion, some of the coolest store cultures in the industry. But in addition to this, they offer the extremely valuable opportunity to pitch products directly to category managers and category leads, as well as individual retailers. Being able to connect directly with these folks is a highly unusual proposition for accounts of this size today, as many, if not most, retailers have actually moved their new item submission process to RangeMe, which requires brands to wait for the buyers to make the initial contact. So let's take a look at two different paths to launching your products and the steps that are involved. So on your left is sort of the path of, yes, I'm going to use one of these sort of templated programs. The first decision you'll need to make is whether you're going to do a regional or a national launch. This is a big decision. Too often I see vendors' eyes sort of light up at the mention of a national launch before they've even given careful consideration to the actual scalability of their manufacturing and their sales support. Where does your product fall within the review calendar? Not, just which review do you fall within, but sort of the timing of this. If you want to know where I have a wellness shot and it looks like they're doing functional beverage. Is a wellness shot a functional beverage? Really, the best place to find out how your product is coded is SPINS. And you can reach out to their coding department and they should be able to provide you with that information. Go ahead and get things started with IX1. Their imaging is an efficient process, but it's really better to get it knocked out early. And this is an essential task. This is, a platform that is used to store data images and provide them to retailers as well as ingredients and product specs. So just get it going. UNFI and KeHE, as well as many retailers, require new vendor applicants to be set up with a RangeMe page. Go ahead and get this going as well. Having a presence on RangeMe will also be a useful tool down the road in further building up your distribution with other retailers. Get the ball rolling with the distributor paperwork early. Please. It's extensive, the paperwork, truly. And there's going to be follow-up. Address this communication with your distributor promptly and accurately. And please don't be that brand that gives a category manager gray hair because you waited until the 11th hour to send your UNFI your certification documentation. You know who you are. You know. Part of your product submission process is also submitting an annual promotion. Let's see here. So you'll want to do your homework about what sort of programs are available to you. I understand that this is sort of a situation where everyone kind of takes out the crystal ball and says, well, where's the product going to be in 9 months? What will our sales be? That's understandable. And I would say a planner, while it's not, a contractual commitment, it is a good faith commitment. So please don't overpromise what you can't. deliver. There's no way that you want to sort of start your relationship with a retailer, you know, on the basis of disappointment. It's also really critical to begin development of your broader sales plan at this point. The retailers are going to do a lot of work on your behalf, but your success is still in your hands. For our clients, I craft a custom retailer roadmap that shows the appropriate retailers to pursue to maintain the needed velocity at each individual distributor warehouse. So once you've sort of checked off all those boxes, now you're ready to reach out to the appropriate CM or CL, that's category manager or category lead, and pitch your awesome product. But wait, don't do that yet, because we're going to talk about communication. And actually, well, if we can go back to the slide, I just want to kind of cover sort of the alternate path here of what if you decide to sort of go outside of the program and, you know, and build distribution on your own. Or what if you get turned down? What if you submit an item to NCG or INFRA and they turn you down? Well, I think the first step here is that retailer roadmap is actually going to need to take shape immediately. You'll still want to get set up with IX1, with RangeMe. You'll want to submit to your distributors. But on the point of distributors, I want to kind of drive the idea that getting set up into distribution without having customers to support that distribution is an incomplete strategy. There are some great folks at the distributors on their SRM and sales teams, but the majority of dollar volume that flows through those warehouses comes from key accounts. So whether it's NCG, INFRA, Whole Foods, Kroger, you need to establish the relationship with the retailer. If you're interested on like a really micro, doing like a micro regional start, you may want to explore some emerging brand programs that the distributors offer. I know UNFI has their next program. And one of the benefits of this, while it might be focused on just sort of one warehouse, I think that the sort of cost of doing business is reduced there. Brokers can be very useful in making connections with store buyers and can be retained in just specific regions. It doesn't have to be just like a national contract. You know, brands seem to be understandably suspicious of brokers with large portfolios, but I would say that regardless of the size of the brokerage, it's on you to focus on sort of what is the placement of their brands. And again, we could kind of go back to ACV as being the metric to measure this in the accounts that you are targeting. So if you want to engage and employ folks that have frequent, successful engagements with the stores that mean the most to you, and that can really, you know, that could be a broker of all different sizes.
Sunshine, the one point
yeah.
I want to make there on brokers is that I think that, and distributors really, there's an assumption, I think, especially from emerging brands, that if I can just find the right broker, or if I can just get into a distributor, then like, kind of like all my problems are solved. They'll sell my product for me. I won't have to worry about it. And it does not work that way in any way.
You own your strategy. And these folks are only as good as the you know, the vision that you are driving for your brand.
Yeah. And this is a very high touch industry, you guys. So this is not a hands-off thing. When you bring on a broker, make sure you know how to actually manage them and what that takes.
Absolutely. I wanted to call out trade shows. You know, I actually miss trade shows. I know not everyone in the industry does. Maybe partly because I miss the Anaheim sun on my pasty, pale Minnesota skin. But I actually, I think some really interesting wins have emerged in the virtual show setting. While you may not see sort of the big key account buyers showing up to these shows, what you will probably see is more of the independent, like retail buyers who may have sort of been priced out or of attending bigger shows, or just didn't have the resources to sort of step away from work for a few days to go to a show. And now they can attend these shows from like the comfort of, you know, their office or their home. So not something to be discounted or written off. And then finally, I wanted to point out that, just because you sort of stepped out of a retailer's program for a little while and went at it on your own, don't hesitate to reconnect with those retailers and say, hey, I know it's been 6 months since we last talked, but here's what I've accomplished. And I think we're ready. We're at a point now that we can do promotions. Would you accept promotions from us at this point? And I watched people all the time sort of, enter the programs mid-year after having accomplished that.
Great.
So on to communication. Let's talk about your communication with buyers. So you've put together a fantastic pitch deck, which we could help you with, but we don't have time to talk about today. So we'll just assume it's fantastic, right? But people don't often think about the importance of the body of the email that accompanies the deck. So first off, who are you? It's funny that oftentimes folks will sort of strip their personality or their personal investment out of this communication and sort of say, our company, are you the founder? Say so. I love knowing that I'm talking to the founder. Who is your company? This is a 1 or 2 sentence elevator pitch, not an essay. Keep it tight and neat. Review the retailer's calendar and tell them where you think you would best fit in their review calendar, or where you think you would be in the store. What items are you submitting? Did you include the entire line in your deck? Please say no. Please don't do that.
Unless you've got 1, 2, or 3 SKUs, then it might make sense. But for the
I'm coming from the supplement world where we're talking like 200. Okay?
Exactly.
But please think, if you had the buyer's attention for only a minute, I'm not giving them credit to have longer attention spans, but if you have their attention for only a minute, what products would you want them to see? If you are an existing brand, but sort of your brand is new to them, I know our tendency is to focus on the new item, but if they're not even familiar with your hero SKUs yet, don't leave those behind. Bring your strongest products forward. Okay, so how is the product additive to the category? This is a big one for me because, retailers really want to hear about how you are going to grow the category. They are not interested in how you're going to steal share from another brand that's already at shelf. That only costs them money. That doesn't bring additional resources to a retailer. Knowing who your targeted shopper is and how they align with that retailer's mission is really important as well. And do you have sales wins that are not visible in spins? So if you're piquing a buyer's interest, typically, even while they're halfway through your email, they've probably pulled up spins, and they are going to just immediately kind of want to see a snapshot of what your sales look like today. If you have sales that are not going to show up there because it's at Whole Foods Market, who doesn't report their data to spins, or you have great wins in direct to consumer or an e-commerce platform, you want to get ahead of that story and be sort of driving the narrative about how you are successful. Okay. Next slide.
You're done talking about
I'm just done talking about that.
Okay, great. Screenshots, you guys.
I mean, it's, links, it's obvious. Links to your website, links to your Arrange Me, things like that. Sorry.
Perfect. These are the basics, like checklist.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right. So speaking of obvious, I know this is, it's obvious that, how important it is to make a good impression, but this initial contact can say so much about your professionalism and your readiness to do business with a buyer. Of course, their focus is on the product. Of course, they're not going to turn away someone, with a crappy email because if they've got the greatest product. But you want to be known as that vendor that has their shit together, that buyers love to work with. Trust me, it'll open up doors of opportunity for you.
Yeah, the one thing I would add here is that I think a big focus of our Accelerate program, which is for emerging brands, is actually to set you up to make a buyer's life easier to say yes. Like that's what we want to get to. And that's, I think, what Sunshine is really coaching you guys through right now.
Yeah. The last thing they want to feel is like, help me, help you, you know?
Totally, totally.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about optimizing promotional events. You know, aside from the initial placement program, these retailers offer some really great promotional programs. But the brands that see the most sales growth and highest ROI from these programs are the brands that develop synergistic strategies to maximizing their participation. So let's take a look at how these brands get the most bang for their buck.
Yeah. And Sunshine, I just want to add here that you guys, obviously we're talking about NCG and INFRA specifically in this webinar, but this really for the most part applies to all retailers. When you get that intro communication with the buyer, when you submit an item, when you start your first promotion, like that's really just the beginning. And there's a lot of onus on you to make sure that that promotion is successful. So these next couple slides are hugely important.
And my apologies to INFRA folks that there's a little NCG specific language here, but obviously it's what I know the best. So in the month leading up to your promotional event, I want you to consider some of the following ideas here. So especially in the wellness space, we have a lot of brands that are shipping product direct to stores, like high-end supplements, high-end body care. And my advice to them is always to, prior to the promotion, is to take the retailer's full store list, which is available from both organizations, and set up every single store with an account number in your system, even if they've never placed an order, even if you've never walked into their store. And the reason for this is that you just want to create efficiency so that when the promotion launches, if a new order comes in, that there are no obstacles to getting that store set up. And in fact, I know that specifically with NCG, the contract language is set up so that it's never on the retailer to identify that a promotion is happening when they place an order, that the impetus is on the brand to have that all set up in the back end. I also want to urge you to take your credit apps and throw them out the window. Because it's a totally unnecessary obstacle and it creates breakdowns in the process. I assure you that the stability of these retailers has been vetted by their organizations and by their primary distributors. NCG promotions are run in either an A or B period, and this is ultimately determined by the category manager. So even if you submitted for an A period, you want to absolutely check your confirmation and see, is it running in the A or B period, and make sure that discounts are set up and that they follow a buy-in date, not a promotional date. So there's an additional buy-in date that allows for product to be shipped to stores and for displays to be set up. Again, that's kind of specific to direct vendors, as this happens automatically with the distributors. While these organizations do work directly with their distributor partners on inventory management, I don't think it can hurt at all to, reach out to your friendly SRM and remind them that there's going to be an event happening and that additional inventory should be on hand to support this. When your sales teams, your brokers, your field reps are calling on existing accounts or potential accounts, and this is virtually or in person, they should be armed with very clear details about the upcoming promotion, and they should be given the ability to offer placement offers, like a 3+3 or a 50% MCB to fix the mix. I want to touch on that a little bit about the fix and mix and promotions. From my perspective, promotions are tools to reinforce optimal assortment, and should never be a way to try to resuscitate dying products. That is sending mixed messages to store buyers that they should be carrying products that they probably shouldn't.
Such an important point. It's so important. I love that.
Unload those products somewhere else. Let's see. Let's see. Don't be stingy with samples. Okay, this is not the place to save money. Don't be stingy with samples. I'm actually a huge proponent of offering, like Erin, of offering trainings and samples to extended store staff where policy allows, because I think that everyone on the floor is a potential ambassador for your brand. I was sharing with the team a story about when I was at French Broad. We had a cashier who was famous for if a customer came through her line and they were like sniffly and they didn't have like some kind of wellness formula like in their basket, she would put the aisle closed sign down and march them back to wellness and load them up with supplements. So, you know, if anytime we got a new brand, I made sure she had samples, right? And finally, you know, in terms of creating synergies with marketing, I think we all know that folks who are in charge of social media are always looking for good content. So make sure that you get the marketing contact for a particular retailer and that you provide them. You know, if you've got beautiful videos, if you've got beautiful social media campaigns, they would love to share that out around the same time as the promotion is going on.
Yeah, and Sunshine, that's really an individual store by store thing, right? That's not handled NCG or INFRA corporate, like headquarters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think most of these things that we've talked about are really just sort of how to activate things to support what you're doing at the sort of key account level.
Yeah, I love that. And the point that I want to make right now is that, you know, you can see one of the things we have on here is scheduled demo events. Obviously, that's really not possible during COVID. And that's one thing we hear from clients and potential clients over and over and over and over again is how hard it is right now because they can't do demos. We just gave you a whole list of a bunch of other things that you can do, other levers that you can pull in addition to demos.
Yeah, and INFRA has their training portal. There are other independent training portals that retailers and brands use. Yeah, adaptive strategies is where it's at, right?
Exactly.
So during the promotion, you want to make sure that if you have folks in the field that are still physically calling on stores, that they have the collateral to sort of help merchandise displays in real time, right? So it started, they thought they kind of built an end cap, you go in and you know, your folks can go in and be like, I can help this end cap a little bit. I've got some shelf talkers. I've got maybe some additional car stock. I've got some pillow packs. I might have like an empty display that we could do secondary placement. You know, one of the many great things about these retailers is that, you know, there is the ability to go into the store and offer that support, and it's received.
Yeah. The other thing I'd say there is that because of COVID, if sort of that in-store engagement is really limited, or if you don't have a team of folks out there able to do this for you, and you have the funds to be able to do a mailing, if you have some of these materials, you can do a mass mailing to these stores ahead of the promotion. If you do that, make sure you put in information around the promo that you're running, what the discount's going to be, when it is, how it's happening, so that they know why they're getting that.
Oh, that's a great point. That's a great point. Other things to have folks, if they're out in the field, take note of is distribution gains. Oftentimes, retailers will take a chance on products for their promotion, and you want that to be on your radar so that you can follow up afterwards and really work to retain that placement and not let that fall off. If while you're out there, you note something that feels like it's inconsistent execution of a promotion, you thought you were doing an off shelf, and you know, someone went into a store and they didn't see off shelf placement. It's really important that the relationship between the people that support your stores and the stores like stays really positive. And so that's not the place to address it. Just ask them to capture a photograph with a timestamp and then follow up directly with the category managers. And then right after the launch, one of the great resources that I love that both INFRA and NCG offer with their flyer promotions and NCG with their feature shelf promotions is this spins promo recap. If you are not yet at the point where you are purchasing spins, this is very valuable, and they've baked this into the cost of their promotion. So this is coming to you free. There's some incredible data insights in there, not just about how the promotion itself performed, the promo effectiveness, but also about how your product is positioned within the category with that retailer. So I think anyone who doesn't, take the time to digest that free data is kind of nuts. So you'll be able to look for that about 2 to 4 weeks after the event has closed. And that's because Spins has 12 reporting periods. And so they just need to let that data cycle and collect it and build those reports.
I love this. And team, I'm honestly right now in this moment thinking that one of our 2021 webinars is going to be on promotions. What the strategy is, how to create a calendar, how the discounts work, how to run them, a lot of the stuff that we talked about here, but then like how to analyze them, how to understand if it's the right strategy for you or not. So more coming to you guys next year.
Nice. Awesome. Okay, let's see. So aside from category reviews or new product offerings, there actually are some additional opportunities where I feel like it's a good time to strategically connect with your category manager or your category lead. And I want to talk a little bit about some suggested content for those communications and some protocol for that. And please don't think that I'm trying to be like a gatekeeper to category managers, but I just want to set you up to have a good relationship with them.
Yeah, that's not what you're doing. You are offering such valuable insight directly from the experience of being a category manager, of being a buyer. So this is a huge deal.
Cool. So I think anytime there's a deadline, everyone has sort of that thought of, I need to reach out to my category manager, whether it's a promotional deadline or whether it's a category review deadline. I'd invite you to keep in mind that this creates like this huge volume of correspondence that hits the category managers all at once. Thinking about better timing is a good idea. Also, if you're looking to have sort of, I want to say an in-person meeting, but if you're looking to have a one-on-one Zoom meeting with them, this is probably not the time. They will, don't be offended, but they may, sort of politely decline that invitation because, if you think about how they're sort of managing their business, this is the time when they are taking meetings with those brands that make up 80% of their business and sort of, building the framework of their category strategy with those folks. But a great time to reach out is when you have news that they need to know. So you want these folks to really feel as though that they're on the inside track with you. So if you have news like, good news or bad news, like you've been acquired, let them know first. Don't make them read about it, in a New Hope, posting. You got your B Corp status? Awesome. Let them know that too. You ran a killer campaign with another retailer. Let's talk to them about how you might activate that with them as well.
Great.
Okay, so around promotions and confirmations of promotions, some questions might come up, like you submitted a planner, you submitted a promotion, and you don't see a confirmation. It's great. It's great to reach out. I would suggest that before you shoot off sort of a panicked or maybe accusatory email to the category manager, do your homework. And then, I have some suggested language here about how you might sort of frame that inquiry that in a way that it would be, received better. After the promotion, you might have some additional questions. You've gone over your SPINS promo scorecard, and you're looking to sort of contextualize those results. Don't send an email 2 days after the promotion ends and saying like, how do we do? Like, ask actionable and concise and direct questions. You know, things like, how does this performance, how does this lift, you know, measure against other promotions in the same category? Do you think that I used the right promotional vehicle? I did a feature shelf. Do you see a higher return with a 2x or a 4x ad? And would you suggest that for me? I think it's a great way to, you know, engage in a meaningful way and invite some insights and guidance from your category manager. So I think this is my last slide of content, but I wanted to just say a couple of things before I hand it back to Kate. So I don't think it comes as a surprise to anyone that I feel very passionate about the role that co-ops and independent retailers play in our industry. And what I hope that comes out of this presentation is maybe a better sense that you know, the points of differentiation that these retailers have from other retailers that might sort of be more homogenous, more like I submit and it shows up in every store, that those differences are actually opportunities, and they're actually what make these retailers pretty amazing. There are a lot of different ways to work and different doors of entry into supporting these retailers. So I hope that we demystified this just a little bit today.
You did great, Sunshine. Thank you so much. So just some key takeaways for you guys to think about. As Sunshine just really eloquently stated, NCG and INFRA, you know, from our perspective and to many in the industry, they are the heart of this industry. They are what really, you know, kind of founded and drove this industry. And we know there's been a lot of shifting over the last several years to bigger, more conventional retailers bringing in more natural products. But NCG and INFRA are still a key piece to your success. They're a key piece to building your story. And if you're truly dedicated to the natural industry, as we are, it's important to make this a part of your strategy. They're foundational to distributors and SPINS. So as you want to build up your selling story and make it easier for other retailers to purchase you from a distributor, these are great ways to do that. And they're a great place to kind of test and learn. You can learn a lot about your brand through these accounts. And because you're able to work with them, this feeds into point 3, at both a headquarter and an independent level, there's a lot more flexibility here with these accounts, especially as you're building a new item or building a brand in general. For new items, determine what the right launch plan is to you. Sunshine gave you a lot of great things to think about there. Show up like a pro and make the buyer's job easier. Understand the communication protocols, understand how to submit, understand the discount structures, understand their programs, make it easy for them to work with you. The programs are only as good as your execution plan. Know what levers to pull before, during, and after the event. Again, high touch industry, and Sunshine laid out for you very clearly what to do at each stage of these events. And build a relationship with your category manager. These guys can help you not just in guiding how to work within their stores, within their organizations, but they're a wealth of knowledge about this industry, about trends, category insight. So build that relationship, become a strong supporter and a resource of them, and that will come back to you tenfold, I guarantee it. So that's it, you guys, and congratulations, team. We came right up to the hour, so well done, everyone. And I want to give a special call out to Sunshine, who really created the bulk of this webinar today that you guys got to see, and her knowledge is so clear. So Sunshine, thank you. Lisa, thank you for making it look so beautiful. I'm just super proud of this team, and Erin and I had the benefit of just kind of coming in at the end and being able to say some fun things. So thanks guys. And this will be available on our YouTube channel. It's Kate LaBrosse Consulting on YouTube. So you'll be able to find that there. Give us a little bit of time to get it downloaded from Zoom and upload it over there. And if you want an actual physical copy of the presentation, we're giving those away to our clients. And for anyone who isn't a client but wants to have a strategy session with us, we'll give you the presentation as part of having that call with us. So thanks everyone. I'm so happy you were here today. And next week is going to be marketing, both digital and social marketing and in-store marketing. So once you get those placements, how do you actually make a move and how do you build your social community? All right. Thanks everyone.